And we are back. Peace, love, and blessings, everyone. Welcome back to your Black is STEM platform, the STEM Files, the voice of STEM talent in Black culture. We do our best to highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. On tonight's episode, we have an awesome, awesome guest. We are talking about ownership in aerospace with Robert Wesley. Bro has a wealth of experience. He's a supply program manager at Boeing. He's going to go into some awesome, awesome content with us and information. Uh, stay strapped in and tune in for more after this. Let's get started.
You believe in these false prophets, I say I bet he lying. No football, New York City Giants. Girl dad, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. When we teaching our babies, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teaching our women, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science.
And as always, as the big homie Papoose said, we teach everyone here on the STEM Files heavy science. Again, this is how to explore ownership in aerospace with special guest Boeing Supplies Manager Robert Wesley. Before we go any further, family, we got to hit them social media shout outs. All right. At Tariq Cardiac, at Jabrillion underscore engineer, and at the Chief Mechanic on Instagram. Make sure to follow us, the TSF Trio. Also at the STEM Files, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We want to hear from you all, right? We want to make sure that you're following and also tapped into the content. I am your humble co-host, Jabril Muhammad, aka Jabrillion Engineer. I am a civilian mechanical engineer for the United States Navy with a focus on naval ship fluid systems and a technical background in material science and engineering. The study of the various material classes, how they can be utilized for different applications. I am joined by the illustrious, the beautiful, the fantastic Sister Dr. Joy, aka the Chief Mechanic. Talk to us, sis.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, sir. I am Sister Dr. Joy 2X, aka the Chi Mechanic, and I've been studying traditional Chinese medicine for about 13 years now. And in traditional Chinese medicine, we understand that the body innately knows and desires how to heal itself. So the medicine that I offer here is to assist you in that journey like a mechanic for your vital energy.
Alhamdulillah. But wait, there's more. And a lot more because bro big.
Oh,
All right. So this is my partner, my ace boom coon. I'm his right hand man, but this bro from another mother. This is Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. Talk to us, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Happy to be here. My name is Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. I'm a biomedical research scientist with a concentration and background in cardiovascular pathobiology, which is the study of how diseases form in the heart and blood vessels, as well as how they're treated. And I'm excited for tonight's guest. It's an engineering episode, so you know your bro's going to eat it up for the pretty much the whole show. To be honest, I'm just sitting back as a student. You know, I ain't got but like 2 questions, so you know your bro's going to really build on it, and I'm looking forward to tonight's amazing dialogue. Take it away, bro.
Bro, I'm trying to. This is too much. They gassing me, bro. It's too much gas. Listen, we not here to talk about us. As you all know, you know who we are, but we want to introduce you to who we bring on because that's where the education is going to come from. So, without further ado, I want to turn it over to our esteemed guest, our brother Robert Wesley. How you doing, bro? Welcome to the STEM File.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. So, my background is similar to yours, Bill. So I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. I got my MBA in supply chain marketing, and I currently work at Boeing Defense, Space, and Security as a supplier program manager. So I work across a plethora of programs from like F-15, F-18, some of the autonomous platforms that we build. So it's really good to be here and be present. So I'm happy to have the discussion.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, I see that Bayer fleece, that Bayer
Yep.
fleece. I'm just gonna throw it out there as a fellow Bayer Award winner myself. Science Spectrum Trailblazer 2021, 2022. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to put that out there. Modern day technology. I didn't get that one, but I hit that Science Spectrum. You know what I'm saying? But yes, sir.
I'm
But
working
listen,
on
bro.
that one.
Hey, I'm working on the other one. You know what I'm saying? We got to help each other out.
Yeah.
Let's just start basic, bro. First off, like I said, we love having you here. I'm excited because this is really the first time we've had someone on so close to what I've done for the past, several years. But let's talk about supply chain management, business strategy, right, and stakeholder management. What do those mean in the context of what you do? and give us an example of how they may interrelate on a particular project.
Yeah, so supply chain in itself, it touches so many parts of the full process of, onboarding a supplier to getting customer funding. So it touches a plethora of things in that whole product development cycle. So, supply chain is engaged early on because you need to identify suppliers to, make those strategic relationships and really get onboarded with those, great suppliers that are working, for the company, but you also need to fund them. And also you make sure you have a good diverse supply base because you want to have, we're not running into, sole monopolies of, suppliers having, sole source contract situations, which, they could basically run up the price that they have with you, exponentially. And then as you get into the execution phase of the project lifecycle, you're managing those suppliers, making sure they're providing parts on time, of the right quality, and making sure they're supporting you throughout that development process because things are gonna, come up through that time. And then as you move forward through the aftermarket and sustainment piece of it, you need to make sure you have the right supply on demand as things, unfortunately break down over time, and you need to revamp things over a period of time. So, making sure you have that, healthy supply chain ecosystem on board, and that's where supply chain adds so much value throughout the entire process.
Hey, Robert, real quick, before we continue, is there a way you can maybe switch out the headphones, or maybe because it's picking up a weird feed, so
Okay.
if you can kind of or even if you got to take them out, that's cool. Hold on, let me take you off mute. Oh, you got to connect your mic, bro.
We want to make sure everybody hears all the knowledge being dropped in this episode.
Right.
Yes,
Double
y'all see me
checking these
shaking my
mics.
head. There's a few terms that made me cringe because bro basically spoke to legitimately what my job is today. So, with that, you mentioned sole source. So I said, oh my lord. So that's literally, so I a bit again, I can't go into all the details, but I manage government furnished equipment, all right, for a major system on destroyer class ships, right? And some of the issues you come into deal with like sole source. So if there's a contracting issue, if there's some, legal trouble, if there's issue with materials from different suppliers, and this is your sole source, so now it can impede things from a cost perspective, schedule, performance down the line, and then you have to assess things like risk and whatnot. We talk about a lot of stuff. So we're going to come back. We're going to come back to it, but I definitely appreciate that. So can you unpack a bit more when you're talking about like sole source? What do you specifically mean? And what are some ways to kind of lessen the blow and maybe kind of diversify that supplier that you're trying to get components from?
Yeah, so really with that, diversifying that supply base is going to be key. So you have to have good supply chain personnel on the team, making sure they're aware of what the requirements are from a customer standpoint, but also from a product standpoint. So in addition to that, you want to make sure that you identify some either strategic relationships you want to build on. So as those suppliers are identified, some of them might not meet all the requirements, but you help develop them to make sure they're onboarded in a way where you're helping them build up their capabilities to provide you product at the end of the day, because you want to have dual sourcing, things like that. So you're not always pigeonholed into one supplier, which it provides you from a cost prohibitions and things like that, which you mentioned, Jabril. So that's how I would look at diversifying your supply base, to make sure you have the right personnel, but also developing those other key suppliers to help you.
Absolutely, we definitely got to talk offline. I'm gonna turn it over to the other two of the trio. Go ahead and eat, y'all.
Listen, all I understood was diversify, and then I thought Wu-Tang, and then I thought diversify your funds. That's all I picked up, because I am a total, listen, I'm internal medicine on this spectrum, so kind of like backtrack, for the novice, for the beginner, tell me a little bit about your background in education. If people are interested in aerospace, especially Black people that are interested in this particular part of STEM, kind of walk us through like, how did you even get into this, and how did you, kind of get into working for Boeing, which is huge?
Yeah, so my career path is, I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi. So from a small town, I was always interested in robotics and being more hands-on earlier on in my career, not my career path, but growing up, I was always like, trying to figure things out and seeing things on TV. It was like, hey, can I build that actually at home? So it's
Mhm.
just being that curiosity mindset early on just kind of pushed me into the STEM realm. Funny story that I actually was an architect major going into college at
Okay.
Howard. But once I figured out, because I played soccer undergrad while I was there, switched that to, be mechanical engineering because the architecture program was actually 5 years. So it was like, I was like, there's no way I'm spending 5 years in university. So I was like, let me switch to engineering, which, in my hindsight, it was a great decision that I made because, mechanical engineering gave me that really good, robust understanding of engineering as a holistic standpoint. And then I,
Mhm.
translated that to supply chain and marketing, which gave me the business side. So you have the technical, but also you have the business side. And I will always encourage those that are interested in STEM to just go after it. Try
Mhm.
to pull the ear of somebody that's in the field. But also, STEM. A lot of STEM careers is really just a willingness to learn. It's just willingness to be curious about different aspects of things. How do things really work? How does let's say you're making a trash can. I'm looking outside right now. How does that really go into making a trash can? What materials are you making? How are you manufacturing? How the molds are doing to make that trash can really the most efficient, most effective for everyday use. So
Mhm.
that's it's just making sure you have that understanding of things and ask a ton of questions because as you go develop your career path, everyone's gonna be asking questions of you all the time. So it's not never gonna be a never ending saying no questions to be asked. It's always time for questions.
Speaking
Great.
my
Thank you.
language.
Let me ask you this, bro. What keeps an engineering student sane in college?
Oh,
Because
that's the question. That's
here's
the
my thing. I studied agriculture. I studied biology. I didn't dibble dabble in math like y'all did, right?
Hmm.
So I mean, it was there. It's still there, but y'all's was like 75% of what y'all studied in college. So what what kept y'all what kept y'all from losing it from
Um,
how intense your curriculum was?
yeah, that I would say that's a hard question to answer because you're just going from calculus 1, 2, 3, and 4, which
Oh
I
my
didn't even know it was a four at that point because
talk heavy.
I had my outlets of soccer, so that was really my outlet as far as I was either down the hill at Howard or up top of the hill with the soccer team. So
Gotcha.
soccer was completely my outlet, completely outside of like
Cool.
engineering. It got me to escape the daily grind of that, but also give me time to really reflect on. It's like, oh, this is doing some amazing things over here, but I do need to take some time away from this because it can be a little bit inundated as far as doing it every day. So identifying a good support group in college is going to be something I would suggest everyone do if you're enveloping that engineering major. Is really having a good support group, not only just family but also at the college that you're at too.
Yeah, and I ask that because often black people or people in general get intimidated by certain majors because of all that is included in
Hmm.
that syllabus and in that curriculum, right?
Yep.
So I wanted people to know that just because they're studying something they're interested in doesn't mean that they don't have an opportunity to break away, to get something that can help them cope with the day-to-day stress of learning something so intense. I'm
Hmm.
saying I remember having engineering friends in undergrad, and I'm like, "Are y'all good? Like y'all straight?"
No,
So
no.
I'm glad you were able to kind of, you know, uh, let the people know that while they're studying these intense uh, majors, that they can also have things that they can use to keep their sanity. So I'm big on that.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. And also, just not having that outlet and support system, but also lean on those mentors, lean on those upperclassmen because, they've been through what you're going through right now. And, study guides and things like that, they can pass along to you. That is bar none. That's something within engineering
Key.
the field it helped me so much.
Right. And Jabril, tell the people what you was doing in undergrad to help you cope. Talk about some Chris Brown moves you was doing back in the day.
Listen,
Uh-oh.
all right. So to this day, I haven't done it recently. I need to get back to it. But he spoke gospel. So several things I was involved in. National Society of Black Engineers, big NESB office, Miss Cora Ingram at University of Pennsylvania. Like literally, that was my second home. You was crying in there, eating in there, you was sleeping in there. Like without that as a support structure, definitely wouldn't have made it. Penn Hype dance crew. Like so I danced competitively since I was about 12, 13. So I trained in ballroom, trained in like different urban style breaking, street funk or whatever. So I transitioned and did that and did showcases in college from my freshman through senior year. That community kept me because it was like something that I can express how I was feeling that wasn't destructive when you hit certain walls in engineering, right? I was big into like crump and stuff growing up because it was a way for me to really like I'm like really like pissed right now, but do it in an art form that people could appreciate on stage, you know. So that was a really big thing for me. And obviously, first and foremost, I would be remiss if, the Lord, okay, my personal relationship with Allah God
Come
was
on, come on.
always there.
Talk about it.
Without that feeding my why as to why I even wanted to be an engineer, I'd have fizzled out a long time ago. So those are the things for me. And like he said, like it's important to find that thing you attach to so that you always remember that as great as it is to be a student engineer and be an engineer, you are more than that. You're more than a number or grades or things like that. You're a whole person and you had value when you came into this world, right? You fought through and you was that sperm that made it to the egg and came through. So regardless of what you do, how long it takes you to graduate, you just keep pushing and remember that your journey is your journey and nobody else's. So that's what I would say. But bro, you definitely hit that nail on the head.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Very cool. So I have a question too. So regarding the topic at hand, like how to explore ownership in aerospace. My very first go-to in my head was thinking about Elon Musk and like owning space, like somehow. So I don't necessarily have like a question formulated necessarily, but can you kind of talk about how what you do and what he's like presupposing happens in space? Like, are they related? What is aerospace and, ownership of that? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so you could tackle it multiple different ways. I'll tackle it two ways. One being I'll talk about it from a startup standpoint. So, the new technology and the hot topic these days are around autonomous platforms, autonomous vehicles. So that's either in the land, the air, the sea, and the space. And I think space is where he's really hitting on more. And that's where other companies, people in general, scientists are really exploring what is going to be habitable life outside of Earth. And
Mhm.
that's going to be key for, developing of expansion of the human race. They're already talking about railroads to the moon, having a whole
Wow.
ecosystem there, which is great to see. And how that develops even further is what I want to hit on. My second point was, the startups is like, if you have an idea, you have a thing that you want to bring forward to like capability, that is true ownership in that space. And then aerospace and defense, because you're bringing your capability, you bring your team, you bring your idea forward for others to really partner with and really delve into more, because it's such a needed field these days. And just from working at one of like the one of the top federal contractor government suppliers in Boeing,
Mhm.
not all these contractors can do all these capabilities themselves. They need strategic partnerships with other startups, other key companies in the space to really bring larger than life ideas to forward. So I think those 2 points is really how I would answer that question. How I would look at what is ownership in this space, because not only you could have your own company, but also you can make a key contribution to other capabilities.
Now, are there Black-owned aerospace companies that are known, that are well known, like Boeing, like the caliber of Boeing or anything like that? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're well known, but there are several different companies, startup companies that are making some huge waves within the government space on the space side, as far as satellites and others that are really key, or really making waves in that from that standpoint.
Okay, great.
Got you.
I,
Yeah.
I have. I'm sorry.
No, good.
No, I have another question. As we were talking about, contractors, and we're talking about, you know, you know, being able to do a good job and them all not being able to do the job together. One thing that comes to mind for me is contracting. So my question was, so what is contracting, and why is it germane to engineering project completion? And then my follow up is, how do effective or ineffective contracting practices impact cost, schedule, and performance considerations, and like vice versa?
Okay, so
And it's okay if you don't remember that second question. We can come
I was
back.
going to say, I don't remember the first question.
Okay.
I asked you to repeat the first question.
Yeah, I'll break it up. I was like, that was a lot. But so what is contracting, just in general, and
Yeah.
then why is it germane or really critical to basically effective engineering project completion?
Yeah, so contracting in general that's the way that the government actually brings people on board to execute different capabilities that it wants to move forward. So whether that's on a quicker life cycle as far as the contracts, you have certain policies and also laws that government contractors must follow to make sure it's a fair and equitable competition for winning these huge government contracts. So, that's in general, that's kind of how contracting works with the government. You have to bid, have to go through a request for proposal, request for quote, and submit your proposal to the government to be actually considered for moving forward in the next step of, their project life. And really where it's really critical for, engagements for different engineering projects, because, as you're working in a cross-functional team, it is going to be critical for engaging with these key suppliers, partners, and experts along the field, because it's going to affect how how much you're outsourcing to a supplier, and that would increase your costs, but also might increase your productivity in certain areas. So that could affect the earned value for the project in that way, but also you look at the cost, total cost at the end of the day, because ultimately you have a budget you need to be within guidelines with. You want to make sure that you're adhering to that budget, but also making sure you're adding value to not only the customer, but also internal leadership at the end of the day. So that's kind of how I look at it's affecting both sides of the coin.
Right.
So
And you answered both questions. I didn't even have to answer the second question. Ask the second question again.
right. So I guess it's safe to say that government contracts are I've seen this both in the government side and in the private sector side, right? We tend to well, not we, but I've seen people or companies get so worked up about contracting out instead of taking advantage of the many things that it can provide. Like you said, it speeds up the timeline. So talk about being able to outsource, or talk about why it's important for any company at any level, in any sector, any industry, to be able to outsource and not be so worried about, okay, we don't have enough people, we don't have the talent in house, so this is not going to go the way we want it. But being able to outsource, we can actually take things to the next level and still get the job done.
Yeah, and I think initially when I think about outsourcing, I immediately go to it drives lower costs, because it costs a little bit less for people to outsource, different labor, different tasks to a company that's their specialty. That might not be the company specialty that you're with right now, as far as, let's say, software engineering. They might be extremely good at coding, but they might not be good at like designing and building. So you outsource that piece of it because someone else that's their expertise as far as designing and building, because you want to definitely drive costs down for yourself and your project, because as I mentioned before, you have that budget you want to keep in balance with, but also you want to be able to add the most value in that place. So if you could get an expert on your team to partner with early on, it might speed up that timeline. You're able to actually able to produce that product at the end of the day. So it's it could be a win-win in all those situations, and having that capability to outsource is going to be critical for any company's success.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jabril and I, we have matter of fact, we got a couple more minutes before we go to our commercial break. But Jabril and I we own a research and development company, Original Man Scientific. Matter of fact, the logo is right down there at the bottom.
Okay.
The bottom left. It's actually the parent company of the STEM Files entity. And one of the things that we are big on is making sure that we can contract talent to do certain research and development tasks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jabril and I, we have our own individual STEM background. So if somebody comes to us with a mechanical engineering problem, Jabril can probably handle that. If somebody comes to us with a biomedical problem or something related to how to, treat certain types of diseases, I can help with that. Mm-hmm. But if we're dealing with something like inorganic chemistry, or if we're dealing with something like, I don't know, solar energy, then we want to we want to make sure that we can find the talent, put them under contract, and get them to do that particular task, and still have everything done in a reasonable, manner and time, and actually, still make sure that everybody gets, what they want. Yeah. So we're big on.
And as well.
Right. Absolutely.
If I may, y'all, just because y'all are hitting it. If I could drive home anything to those interested in, or those current engineers that are watching, and just those professionals that work in any high-paced field where you have deliverables, customers, projects. If you can write on a dry erase board, or have when you wake up in the morning these 3 words and their connectedness to each other: cost, schedule, and performance. Any project you work on, any program, has to be completed on or under cost, on schedule, and it must perform in accordance with the original statement of work, or whatever the original idea was. Your value as a professional, your value as an engineer, particularly a STEM professional, is directly linked to your ability to exemplify and to produce in accordance with those parameters as they pertain to your particular project. So that's been my experience, and I've hit sometimes, I've missed sometimes, but that is always the goal, and that's always the standard for any particular project that you work on.
That's right.
Sure.
That's amazing. I couldn't have said it any better.
Yes, you could. I just said it first.
All right, family. We at that halfway point where we like to do our quick commercial break. We're going to be talking about the Final Call newspaper, some of the things that Jabril, Dr. Joy, and myself are doing as individuals, and then we'll get right back into the conversation of how to explore ownership in aerospace. And I got a few questions as it relates to Boeing and your role there, and how you've been able to pivot into your own thing with your podcast and everything like that. So stay tuned for more after this, family.
Now you can get the same uncompromising truth you've come to expect from the Final Call newspaper on all your connected devices. Subscribe to the Final Call digital edition today. Go to subscribe.finalcalldigital.com.
Peace. This is Naya Muhammad, a future architect, and you're watching The STEM Files.
All right, Jabril, and what's this week's edition of the STEM Files all about?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This week's edition
I mean,
of
I'm
the
speaking of the
Final
final
Call
call.
newspaper. I had it. I had it. I had it. Yes, this is the latest issue, volume 43, number 30 of the Final Call newspaper. Before we continue, family, as we always say, and we will be remiss if we didn't say, myself or the Shariks, Dr. Joy, are proud members of the Nation of Islam, the Fruit of
That's right.
Islam, and the Muslim Girls Training and General Civilization class. This is our message dedicated to the resurrection of the black man and woman in America and the world, the Final Call newspaper. It says, yes, it is genocide. It says, despite denials from U.S. officials and others, what is happening to the Palestinian people is a violation of human rights, and there is proof. Now, listen, before we go any further, regardless of what your stance is on what's going on overseas, what we want to say is read it for yourself, formulate your own opinion, and whatever your end opinion or thought process is, move out to be a better person for yourself, your community, and do something to help, right? We know that we're all going to have differences of opinion around this issue and what's going on overseas, what's going on in our communities, what's going on in our own households. We don't always agree. However, as intelligent people, we need to learn how to settle on the best part of one another and strive to, through strategic partnerships, through what we align on, make our homes, our communities, our states, right, our nation better one day at a time. So, if you are in the Philadelphia or Atlanta area, if you are in the Richmond, Virginia area, if you're in the Greensboro, North Carolina area, you want to get your physical edition, tap in with myself, Brother Tariq, Dr. Joy, and go to finalcalldigital.com, set up your digital subscription to get it every week to your phone, tablet, laptop, or other device. The Final Call newspaper family, that good news you can use.
Praise be to
Yes,
Allah.
sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, bro.
You're
Appreciate that.
welcome,
You do
sir.
that. You do such a wonderful job at that every single time, and which is why I do not even bother trying to tell
No, you do not.
Y'all be trying to get me to do it. I can't. I can't like that. No, no.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Well, so let's get back into this, right? So we're talking about ownership in aerospace. So the reason, and I spoke with Robert over was it over the weekend or maybe a few days ago
Yeah,
about
my
the
time's all messed up. So
right. I'm you have no idea like the amount of cramming I did for this one episode today, but you know we spoke about how we were going to direct this episode and what direction we were going to take it in, right? And we spoke a lot about ownership. We spoke a lot about being able to pivot from what you do with Boeing to the different things that you're doing on your own. So talk about how that transition has been so far for you personally, being able to go from a major corporation like Boeing and still with Boeing and helping them fulfill their goals and desires, to being able to actually do something for yourself and build a platform that I can't wait to get into, actually, that is helping Black people understand that understand aerospace as a science as well as getting into it.
Good question.
no, I mean, it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. I felt that, it's not only, on its own person to excel at your career path, but also, what can you do for the community? So I
Right.
felt the need to really, reach out to, build my own brand because, as a Black person within this STEM field, within Boeing, working at, a major corporation, it's not a lot of people that look like me
Come on.
at certain levels. So, Nesby and Bay are there to really help, facilitate that next generation. How I can provide, help for the next generation is I feel through education. So, I started my newsletter based off of autonomous platforms of the future. So that's across air, sea, land, and space. So it's a weekly newsletter, basically, depicting, the new technology, because that's something that I've always been passionate about as far as new technology and just speaking about how things are shifting in the general space, whether it's commercial or aerospace and defense. But within my background in aerospace and defense, I've been highlighting a lot of, great trends that are going on right now with the defense population. And then also as, dovetail that as far as the podcast, Brothers in Aerospace, I have to shout those out because myself and Dwayne
Hey,
Allen are, co-hosting that as far as really delving into, key hot topics within aerospace and defense that are, going to be game changers for the future and breaking that down from a technical aspect, from a business. sure.
Gotcha. And I appreciate the imagery, because we at the STEM Files, as you can see, we're all about making and producing images of Black people doing something in STEM, right?
Yeah.
And we are so big on that because, as Jabril always so eloquently says, Black is STEM, and Black will always be STEM. Matter of fact, I'm gonna let him say it. Jabril, how do you put that?
So the way I flip it and reverse it, yeah.
Right.
So we always like to say here on the STEM Files that we're not just Black in STEM. We don't just fill space and take up space in an arena as if we're strangers to it. Black is STEM. You know, Black, as we're taught as members of the Nation of Islam, is not a color in of itself. It is the essence from which color comes. So in the beginning, there is darkness, there's energy, and things come forth. So so from that, it has always STEM is as old as Black is. So
That's
that's
right.
why whenever you see that Black is STEM, so we can't go through life thinking that I can't do because I don't see.
Right.
Everything you do, every experience you have is related to or is STEM. So all we need is a level of representation, access, and the knowledge base consistently applied in a very particular manner to get us from point A to point B. So what some of that means is, okay, Black people don't do that. Says who? Maybe you don't do
Come
that.
on.
Maybe
Right.
our family hasn't done that. The same way we say, oh, diabetes runs in my family. No, nobody runs in our family. So
Mm,
that's more along the lines of with this. We have to change that paradigm of thought. So with that, I did have another question. And I think it kind of goes right into what we're talking about here. So, as a fellow Black Engineer of the Year award recipient, so how did it feel to be recognized as a modern day technology leader? And with the follow up is, do you find strength or do you find some level of hindrance in being called a Black engineer as opposed to just an engineer? If so, or if
Gotcha.
not, explain why.
Mm. Uh, that's a really good question. I don't see it as a hindrance. I think I look at Beta as kind of the Black family cookout as far as going
Late,
there.
it's late.
People that you love to see from a year-to-year standpoint, people you could catch up with, mentors you haven't seen, or new colleagues that you engage with. So I think it's an honor that I look at it as, being recognized as a modern day technology leader. And I just wear it as a sign of like I'm doing the right thing as far as I'm being recognized for my contributions to not only the field, but also the community. And it's just great to see that being recognized on that platform, on that stage, as I progress through my career path, because I still got some track left on my career path to really make some major influences as I move forward.
I'm so glad you said that because I would say we agree with that. I hate when I hear people saying I don't want to be seen as a Black engineer. I just want to be seen as an engineer. But my thing is, like, bro, like we are literally, if I can put it in the words of the Honorable Mrs. Farrakhan, we the salt of the earth. America has flavor because of Black people, man. Like
That's
when
right.
you put Black in front of everything, the sauce go up. Like I don't know I don't
Right.
understand what this thing is. But then again, we know where it comes from. To put it in the words of my former a history teacher in high school, it's ingrained. That's a whole nother conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Milt. Shout out Milt. Engineering and science. But I had one more question. I'm gonna turn it back over to the team. And I think this is just universal. So can you speak to some best practices and challenges you've experienced leading cross-functional teams, whether they be in person, virtual, or hybrid?
Yeah, I think the most challenges I've seen right now is leading a cross-functional team, virtual, because you don't get that, depending on the project, depending on the deliverables that you have, it's going to be that face-to-face engagement. You're going to miss that because you're not going to see the body language. You're not going to see issues that the programmers are running into, issues that some of the engineers are running into from a day-to-day standpoint, and that is going to be critical as you're leading those teams going forward to making sure that you're, like you said, on cost, on schedule, and driving that performance of the team. So having that face-to-face interaction, whether that's like 5 minutes at the beginning of the day, or as you're wrapping up your day, is critical. So that's where I see kind of the pitfalls of engaging the team cross functionally. But it also, with video technology, it also opens that door of making sure that you have that touch points. If it's completely necessary, you have teammates that's across the country. You're not going to be able to visit there every day, but also you want to make sure that you have that FaceTime with those individuals. So it acts as a way to try to bridge that gap where you might not be able to attend in person where it's needed. So I think that face-to-face interaction is something that drives that accountability, credibility, and helps performance from teams go quicker, go faster from my standpoint.
Absolutely. We in that new normal, man. They said, things aren't returning back to where they were. So you got to manage it and do the best you can. But I agree, at a certain point, it's good to have that FaceTime, and it helps to meet things head on and have courageous conversations. But no,
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely agree. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Doc, what you got?
Well, from reading your biography, I was actually wondering more about your home and domestic life, because I see
Okay.
that you do have some children. You got one on the way.
Hey,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So I was wondering how you may or may not influence them, while they're growing up with your passions, especially geared towards engineering. Are you playing with? Well, this dates me. I was going to say Lincoln Logs, but never mind.
No.
I will say that my son has, I have a 2-year-old son, so he's progressed through life amazingly. I've, throughout COVID and things like that, since, we've gone through that virtual model, been able to see him develop and grow so much throughout his 2 years of life. And it's, being amazing to see from a day-to-day standpoint. I will say I haven't, purposely influenced his decision-making, but we've lived in, when we were living in Arlington, seeing airplanes from like the Dulles Air, from the DCA. He would always, point out airplanes, and he was always curious about, seeing things fly in the sky. So we got him an aerospace engineering book, and he loves reading that.
Awesome.
So I think,
Awesome.
a
And
little bit, but he's always curious. He's always active. So I love, engaging that, and with the baby girl on the way next week.
praise be
We'll
to
see
it.
kind of how I, nudged in that direction. My wife's a doctor, so she's gonna nudge in the other direction too.
Hey, hey, what kind of doctors?
Awesome.
What kind of medicine does she practice?
Yeah, so she's a child and adolescent psychiatrist, mainly focused on the women, helping them through like the postpartum, pregnancy period. So
Oh, we gotta have a whole.
Yeah,
Oh, this is.
Yeah.
and that's dope because
Listen, this is crazy.
Send
Oh,
her
we about to do
info
it
here.
up.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, we about to do it different.
that's so
Family
cool because she's
affair.
about to have another child.
Mhm.
So I would be interested in knowing how she's able to use her knowledge and her skills to even help herself. That's a pretty dope episode right there. Like I know Dr. Joy gonna eat on that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we gonna get it in. We gonna get it in. Listen, as I'm listening to you, bro, I'm like, we definitely gotta talk offline.
Yeah.
I have 2 under 2. My son will be 2
Okay.
in July. My daughter
Oh
will
my
be
God.
1.
Okay.
My wife is in the medical field by trade. My mother's a doula.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, this might be some divine time. I don't know. We gotta look.
That's
Just
right.
tell the missus,
Surrounded by goodness.
schedule it, get it going. We gonna make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, after a couple months, we're spending a whole month of May, like
Absolutely,
just
absolutely,
get to the family, making sure we have that right rhythm. But after that,
absolutely.
fair game.
Yes, sir.
So looking forward to that. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, we on the cusp of wrapping it up. This has been an incredible episode. I've learned so much. As always, when we have our engineering episodes, I'm usually the quiet, kind of leaning back, learning and observing and everything. But I wanted to get from you, just my final question, really. When you were, and this is back to the imagery thing, right?
Mhm.
Being able to see images of Black people doing STEM, right? What has been some of the responses of your podcast with you and your partner, and how has that how is the imagery you all have created of Black people in aerospace been able to inspire other Black people to get into the field?
Yeah, no, it's been amazing feedback so far. As soon as we released the first episode, people were, in my LinkedIn DM saying, I'm so grateful that this is, you guys have this platform. I think it's well needed. It gives a voice and echoes us, the ultimate mission of like Nesby and Bea and others is like, you seeing Black people doing amazing things. And the more you hear about it, the more you see it, is also, giving that next generation, possibly, thinking about, what could I could do in my career path. They've done it, they are talking about X, Y, and Z. I'm curious about that. So how can I really get in touch there? So yeah, I'm happy to, see where it goes in the future. I know we're still on our probably third or fourth episode, but we're slowly growing between both of our schedules. It's been crazy, but it's been a great thing to see, the brand build by itself, and just us talking to our career coach, um, thinking about this is an idea that was floated our way. It's like, hey, we're both kind of half in. Let's see where it goes, and then it's been amazing feedback so far.
Yeah, definitely. And that's pretty much the same journey Jabril and I had when we first started. So we were on Blog Talk Radio. We were doing our thing on there. Matter of fact, the page is still up, and we had an episode on there.
The vintage episodes are
right.
still accessible.
Still accessible. we ain't been on there since 2018. So matter of fact, Jabril, do you remember the old intro music we used? We used like an old 1997 Outkast
Listen,
song.
the vintage episodes are still accessible. Okay.
Right. It's crazy. I was just listening to a few the other day, and just looking at how far we've come. And Jabril is right. I don't like looking at none of those old graphics, none of them old overlays and nothing like that. I barely like listening to myself on them old episodes. So to see the growth and to see how, two people can stick with it, and now we have three people with us, and now, the STEM Files has come such a long way, but that sticking to it, right? You never know who you're inspiring. So when people drop out or people, let things go, they have no idea. They may be disappointing somebody who that in that platform meant everything to them, and took them through a dark time, So, oh, forgive me, family. That is the train in my background. Don't worry about that. But yeah, it's all about sticking to it. We got to be able to see things through. No matter how long it takes. It may take you 10 years to get any kind of real growth, but if you stick to it, you never know. There's certain things that just may click and pop off and just change everything. I bear witness to that.
No, I mean, this is an amazing platform. I mean, I'm extremely happy to be here. So grateful for you guys having me on as a guest. So, I mean, it's an amazing platform you guys have, and you're inspiring so many people that look like us in this next generation. So I'm glad to impart some knowledge that I've learned throughout my career path here.
Yeah, so speaking of that, you know what? For those who are watching, we actually did not reach out to brother Rob. He actually emailed us. And I'm curious, Rob, what made you reach out to the STEM Files? What was it about the STEM Files that was like, okay, look, I gotta share my story on this platform?
Yeah, so I think it's part of the passion of mine is really seeing that progression of minorities in the STEM field, and looking at different platforms as far as where I could get a message out to that next generation, and imparting them is like that courage to go do what you want to do, or this is a possibility for you, is something that I had to be part of. So that's what really encouraged me to reach out to you guys and to be on this type of platform.
Yes, sir. Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Dr. Joy, did you have any last or final remarks for our esteemed guests?
I'm just excited that you came on, and it's great to know. I did not know that you had reached out to us, so that feels really good. It makes me, it allows me to know that Allah has definitely put us on the same paths for a reason, that we're doing something that's beneficial to the community at large. So I'm really excited. We're really excited to have you on the episode. We hope to get your wife on the episode. And we're
It's
looking
not a
forward
hope.
to
It's
catching
going
up
to
with you.
happen. We're gonna let
It's
her.
gonna happen.
We're gonna let her get little sis out, and they'll get that time, and then we're gonna make it happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know what too? We at the STEM Files, we're big on this platform being yours. So if there's something that you would like to share with the world and new developments, you done created you did help with the research and development of a plane that can take people from here to Saturn.
Come on.
Just speaking hypothetically, I know that scientifically we ain't on that type of level yet, but
Well, you never know.
right, exactly.
That's right.
But that's what that R&D is all about.
Yeah.
But this platform is yours, right? Anytime you want to come through, it belongs to you. It's your voice. It's your opportunity to share with the world. Of course, in addition to your own podcast.
Nah,
But absolutely, and we thank you for coming through, Jabril. Anything?
Like I said, I think I got a little ahead of myself on this episode. It's not every day that I get to talk to someone outside of my organization that knows exactly what I go through. We all have hard jobs, right? It's easy to feel like yours is the hardest. I got a very, very time consuming and stressful job technically. And reading your bio, like when we got it, I was like, oh my God, bro understands. I was like, he understands. And he's doing it from the defense contracting point as well. So that's what I said, we definitely got to talk offline. And then when I saw similar interests, sports, traveling, and then even familially, I was like, oh man, that's dope. So we'll definitely talk offline. But I appreciate your authenticity. I appreciate you just speaking from the heart, not trying to go over anyone's heads. Like I said, before backstage, I was like, our goal here is not to talk over everyone. I feel like if we're trying to communicate and we move as the voice of STEM talent in Black culture, right? So if we're that voice, the voice has to be heard and the voice has to be digested, the voice has to be understood. So if we just sitting here talking all above everyone's head and just want to sound smart, that's not effective. So again, really appreciate you, bro. This is your home. We look forward to some cross platforming going forward, and just anything we can do to help each other grow, personally, professionally, and even familially. So I'm just excited. I'm honored and privileged to have you on our platform, and looking forward to the next time and everything that you'll do.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. As a matter of fact, before you go, Rob, what is something you want the audience to take away when it comes to getting involved in ownership in the aerospace industry?
Now, one thing I always, tell people is to view failure differently. So not only, failure can also be a huge positive, because if you fail fast and fail often, you understand things about what you don't like, what you do like, what is a good fit for you in your career path, but also what is not a good fit for you. And failure could be so informative as far as your understanding and building of your character and building up your own, your gravitas as you move forward. So, I love to tell people just fail fast and fail often, because, I failed in my career path, and it's, I'm at where I'm at right now because I failed in that standpoint, because, it's afforded me different opportunities, and I look forward to failing in the future because I'm going to learn even more from those fears, as I move forward. So I would just say view failure differently as everyone moves forward in their respective career paths.
That's right. Yeah, that's
Failure gets you paid too. Just a little tidbit out there. I worked in material failure analysis for a little bit before I got into it. I did literally studying material failure to understand why things failed and make things better. So it's a part of the process, especially in engineering. So, again, whether you're talking life skills, you're talking in that, failure is important. And it is one of life's greatest teachers. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We sometimes, we have no idea what God is even protecting us from,
Yeah.
in the process of failure. We think that it's something that's hindering us. you know, God may be trying to, you know, break down something else to give you something better. You know, so it's all about, like you said,
Lord
perspective and how you
Almighty.
handle it.
Yes,
All about how you
I
handle
bear
it.
witness.
Yes, exactly. You know
Everybody
what I'm
on
talking
here.
about. Yes, man. Yes, man. All right, family. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. This is the voice of STEM talent and Black culture. Tariq Cardiac, Jabreen Engineer, the Chi Mechanic, Robert Wesley, amazing aerospace professional. We thank you so much, bro, for coming on. Like we said, anytime you want to come through, it's yours. All right, family. So thank y'all for tuning in. This has been the voice of STEM talent and Black culture, where we highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in the Black and brown community. Thank you so much for tuning in, family. Peace.
Peace, man.
You believe in these false prophets, I say I bet he lying. No football, New York City Giants. Girl dad, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. When we teaching our babies, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science. When we teaching our women, we teach them heavy science. Heavy science. Heavy science.